Now, today, Bert Newton, one of the greats of entertainment in this country, woke up and he was 75 years old when he woke up. It's his 75th birthday on the line. Bert Newton, good morning.
Good morning, Neil. I'm also grateful that I woke up.
I was going to say, what was the first thing you thought about when you woke up? What's the first thing into your head?
Well, I looked at the bedside clock because I was born, Mum told me all those years ago, at 9:10, and it was about, 7:15 when I woke up, so I had a bit of a wait until the actual time itself. Paddy thought it was ridiculous, but I waited until 9:10, then got up.
That is ridiculous.
I know.
Well, it's a pity the royal baby couldn't wait a bit longer, really, isn't it?
It is, yes. Paddy was quite upset that the baby was born not on my birthday, London time. It would have been nice, particularly seeing it was a boy. And being a regular listener to your program, I thought it might have been nice, name-wise, to have been Winston with a Y.
75's it's a milestone, but it's one of those things I wonder whether you want to acknowledge it, you want to remember it, or do you sort of just accept it and move on?
Well, I think in my case, it was obvious it was going to be known that I was 75 because I made that dreadful mistake many years ago of actually declaring my correct date. A lot of people we know in our industry, Neil, as you well know, put the age up a little bit or down a little bit just to suit their purposes. But I think it's obviously the achievement is to have been here for 75 years. And I was saying to Paddy wanted to give me a surprise party, which was an unusual way of planning it by telling me. But I I voted against that and said that maybe I could have one for my 80th birthday. And she looked at me in a most unusual way. I'm not too sure whether she thinks I'm going to make the big 80.
Did you didn't want a party?
Not really. I imagine I'm a little like yourself. I like small groups, but I'm not all that keen on on big groups and parties and all that sort of thing. And not to be maudlin, but in my case, a lot of the people that say for my 50th or 60th or 65th birthday that I would love to have had there at the party are no longer with us, and that is a consideration. I mean, I still have younger friends and friends of my age group, but a couple of, or more than a couple of significant people wouldn't be here. In the last couple of years, I've lost two brothers and a sister-in-law, and I'm just happy to celebrate my birthday with Paddy and Lauren and the grandchildren, and maybe catch up with a couple of close friends over the weekend.
Yeah, those losses do come back to you at a time like this, don't they? I mean, two brothers and a sister-in-law, that's a lot in a few years. Yes,
I came from a big family. There were 6 of us, and there are only 2 of us left now. And I mean, I know it's the inevitable, and I accept that. But when you're celebrating significant things in your own life, you like to share them with family, which I've done right throughout my life with my brothers and my sisters. But it wasn't to be this time around. It wasn't the main reason I didn't want a party.
No,
It was
sure.
just that I think Paddy and I, can do some interesting things today. Have some lunch together with the family, and maybe go and even do a golf class tonight.
What about your own glimpse of mortality recently? Has that had a lasting effect on you?
Yes, I'm sure it has. I was reasonably lucky with the operation. That I knew that it was a big one, but I wasn't aware that you can consider percentages, and it wasn't until after the operation and well into my rehabilitation that I discovered that Paddy was told these things can be 50-50. As I've mentioned elsewhere, I think that if I'd known that myself, I think I would have prayed more fervently.
Do you think about that often, though? That's why I asked about what you think about when you wake up. You sort of it is an extra day in a sense, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty philosophical in that way. I mean, health-wise, with the exception of the last couple of years, I've had a pretty good life, medically speaking, and health-wise. But as you get into later years, I mean, it happens for some people when they're in their early 60s. It happens, I'm now 75, and the only thing physically that I have to worry about, and I don't worry about it, was even I noticed this morning, I think I've got just a tinge of arthritis in one of my fingers. And if that's the worst thing that's going to happen to me, I'm a pretty lucky boy.
You have had a rough few years, though, Bert. I mean, there's your own health, losing those close family members, and the publicly reported problems that you've had with Matthew and the family. How are you getting through it all?
I think the only way you can do it, Neil, and Paddy and I have been very grateful for your support, because what I've heard you say on a number of occasions, I don't think you've taken the easy way out. I think you've taken, an attitude of humanity. The answer's very simple. It's not easy for anyone, but it's particularly hard when it's everyone's business.
Yeah.
You can't control that, and I don't complain about it, because all the good things that have been made public about me and us over the years, we've enjoyed them, and we know that's part of the cost of being a performer or having a high profile. But when it's something which really hits you very deeply in your heart and your soul, the fact that it has to be shared has some advantages, because the majority of people are wonderful to us in that respect, but it becomes so public, and that in itself is a little hard to handle, because quite often it's about the only thing that people want to talk to you about.
Yeah.
And, we do a lot of talking about it personally, and we have, right throughout we've had high hopes for a good resolution, and I think that I can see a light at the end of the tunnel. As a matter of fact, I'm sure I can. But the simple answer is you cope with it, but it's not easy because of that public factor.
Oh, you're spot on. Many, many families go through similar things, but without the media pack on their doorstep, and that must be deeply aggravating.
Yeah, but the one thing that's also stood out, Neil, is that we didn't realise that so many people have, major problems of a similar nature, or perhaps something which is, just as devastating and is heartfelt by them. And that in itself gives you strength, because we've had some wonderful people whom we didn't know at all until they introduced themselves and spoke to us, and it gives you a good feeling. But this is a pretty good time at the moment for us, because we feel we've been through the worst in all sorts of things, health-wise, and all the other issues, and it's onward and upwards, as they say in the classics.
Well, look, I do admire you and Paddy too, the way you've said, look, we don't like it, but it goes with the territory. There are so many people in public life who say, just leave us alone, give us the privacy. Well, of course you want the privacy, but at times you have to accept that the intrusion is inevitable. It's rough, and it's probably unnecessary, but it's inevitable.
Yeah, and I think, the one thing that I think Paddy and I can be proud of is I don't think we'd be on record anywhere with complaining about what we might see as publicity or, news that is to our disadvantage. Because when you go into a business like this, and I went into it very early in the piece, I was only in double figures as a kid. I was 11 when I first went into radio and a children's program. And of course I didn't know that sort of thing then, but I learned pretty quickly that it's a cliche, I know, but cliches are there, I think, because they're true. You take the good with the bad. And it's interesting, if you, when you get a good story, you sometimes forget to really appreciate the fact that it's so positive for you. So, if you forget it under those circumstances, you should also accept it when it's something that you would have preferred not to have been there, which is a long way of saying, once again, you take the good with the bad.
Yeah. Look, I really wish you well for your birthday. It's great to hear you're doing so well, and to hear about lights at the end of the tunnel. Can I just ask you, without any forethought at all, one moment in your career, quick, stands out?
I think it would be when I realised that perhaps there was a rebirth when Don Lane came into my life. That sounds strange. It sounds as if it was a brand new love affair or something. But at the end of the Graham Kennedy era, I accept things pretty easily if they can't be changed. And I thought, well, this will be maybe a downward spiral now, because I've been with Graham for a long time as a partner or a stooge or a straight man, call me what you will. And I thought, well, it'll be maybe a chance to get a radio gig or whatever comes along. But Don came along and he insisted that I be in his show against the wishes of a couple of the heavies at Nine, and they weren't anti me, but they just felt that I was so closely identified with Graham Kennedy's shows that it might be nice to have a fresh look. And I didn't know this until a couple of years into doing the show, that Don basically demanded it, and I got to know Don well enough to know that when he demanded something, invariably he got it. And that was a good time for me. And also at that time, our personal life was great. The kids were youngsters, and lots of good things happened around that time. I finished up doing a radio gig too, which went well. So that was a good time in my professional life. But in my personal life, I think the one time that really sort of set me up for life was, when Patty and I married. It's a great feeling to know this far down the track that you married the right person, and you hope that that person feels the same way.
Bert, thanks for your time, thanks for your trust, and we really wish you well for today. Have a good day.
All the best, Neil, and would you give my best to David Armstrong? I came very close to having the chance of working with David. I think he's a fantastic newsreader. That didn't happen, and I'm sorry it didn't.
I will do that. Have a good day. Thank you, Bert.
Thanks, Neil.
Bert Newton, and when I say I appreciate his trust, Bert doesn't do a lot of interviews these days, and I can understand why, but the ultimate professional in this business. And then there's not a lot of us around. I'm the first to complain if I get a bad press, and it happens occasionally.